Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Awaken Your Divine Intuition. Receive wisdom, blessings, and love by connecting with Spirit. By Susan Shumsky, Doctor of Divinity. Narrated by Christina Delaine. Publisher's note. In this audio edition, you will hear references to figures present in the print and ebook formats of the book. Disclaimer. Awaken Your Divine Intuition can familiarize listeners with the highly specialized, complex subjects of meditation and intuition, but in no way claims to fully teach the techniques described. Therefore, personal instruction is recommended. Awaken Your Divine Intuition is not an independent guide for self-healing. Susan Shumsky is not a medical doctor, psychiatrist, or psychologist, and she does not diagnose diseases or prescribe treatments. No medical claims or cures are implied in this book, even if specific benefits or healing is mentioned. Listeners are advised to practice the methods in this book under the recommendation and guidance of a qualified medical doctor or psychiatrist, and to use these methods at their own risk. Susan Shumsky, Divine Revelation, Teaching of Intuitional Metaphysics, New Page Books, and any other affiliate, agent, assign, licensee, or authorized representatives make no claim or obligation and take no legal responsibility for the effectiveness, results, or benefits of listening to this book or of using the suggested methods. Deny all liability from any injuries or damages that listeners may incur and are to be held harmless against any claim, liability, loss, or damage caused by or arising from following any suggestions made in this book or at divinerevelation.org or by anyone listed at divinerevelation.org. Why this new edition? This book is a new edition of How to Hear the Voice of God, originally published in 2008. So why the need for a new version? Though this book is indeed about experiencing the presence of God and communicating with the still, small voice of God, that divine presence is within every one of us. It is our higher self. So bringing out a new version of the book that emphasizes the presence of God as our own intuition brings a new dimension to divine communication. As we embrace our spirituality, no longer do we consider God's Spirit as separate, inaccessible, or far away. Spirit is within, and Spirit communicates and communes with us through our own inner wisdom, insight, inspiration, and divine intuition. Through using the methods in this book, may you realize that God is not distant and unattainable. May you discover and awaken your inner guru, and be guided by the teachings and counsel of that eternal font of divine truth. May you recognize the divine presence within and discover who you really are, your true spiritual self. Preface. Who or what is God? God has no religion. Mahatma Gandhi. This book is about listening to the voice of divine wisdom, in whatever form you believe that to be, whether God, Goddess, the Creator, Spirit, Divinity, Universal Force, Energy, or otherwise. It is about receiving divine guidance from the still small voice within, otherwise known as your true inner wisdom or divine intuition. That is your higher self speaking to you. Let us define what is meant by the word God. To my mind, it is an energy that permeates and gives rise to the universe. I believe God is a non-denominational, ecumenical, and gender-free concept. It is the Almighty Spirit, which is here, there, and everywhere, within this, that, and everything. Therefore, it is within and all around you. Some people dislike the word God, because it evokes their early religious training of pain, suffering, and guilt. However, I consider God to be a beautiful word that embodies peace, love, joy, and wisdom. For me, God is the all that is, the all-powerful, all-loving, all-embracing creator and source of life, which bestows love, healing, inspiration, blessings, and grace whenever you ask. I believe in a God of love that is both male and female, immanent, accessible, and alive. It is within me, and it holds me in loving arms and gives comfort, security, and protection. However, if your concept of God is different from mine, this will not prevent you from successfully experiencing the divine presence and hearing the divine voice through using this book and the accompanying guided meditation, which you will download online. That is because the teachings in this book are universal. No matter what your beliefs or background, you can realize your higher self and hear the divine voice by approaching this book with an open mind and heart. Since 1970, I have helped thousands to experience the divine presence and to hear the voice of Spirit, and I can help you, too. Important. In this book, I use the following terms: God, Goddess, God Spirit, Spirit, Divine Spirit, Divine, Divine Presence, Holy Presence, Sacred Presence, Almighty, Creator, Lord. These all refer to exactly the same concept, the Supreme Being, Creator, and Maintainer of this universe. So please do not try to search for differences among these words as you listen to the book. Also, I use the following terms to describe the still small voice within: divine voice, voice of divine wisdom, voice of God, voice of divine spirit, divine intuition, inner guidance, divine revelation, divine message. These terms all mean the same thing. It is important to thoroughly listen to and study chapters 4 and 5 of this book before listening to the downloadable guided meditation that you will access online. Intellectual understanding is essential to building a firm foundation on which to erect the direct experience of the Holy Presence within. Now it is time to open the limitless possibilities of your voyage into inner space, where you will hear the divine voice, see divine visions, and experience the loving divine presence. This is a journey of a lifetime, so be prepared to be surprised, delighted, and enlightened. Enjoy the ride. With love and blessings, Dr. Susan Shumsky, February 22nd, 2016. Part 1. Discovering Your Own Wisdom. Chapter 1. Spirit can talk to you. Out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee. Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 36. It is a rare gift to be called to hear the divine voice. By listening to this book, you demonstrate faith in the prospect that two-way communication with Spirit is feasible. This is indeed atypical. The fact that you even consider this possibility places you in a unique category of uncommon individuals. For example, were you raised in a family, religion, or educational institution in which you learned that a deity or divine being can speak to you directly? Few people hearing these words can answer yes. Many people believe that an infinite creator exists, yet few believe that this almighty being hears their prayers or answers them. Fewer believe that this divine being is accessible and can talk to them. Exceptional people are willing to allow God to speak to them directly. But only rare, extraordinary individuals act on what the divine voice advises them to do. Do you want to be one of these people? If so, you are in the right place. We are taught from an early age that when we talk to God, it is called prayer, but when God talks to us, it is called schizophrenia. If you were to visit a psychiatric office today and report that God or Goddess speaks to you, what would be the reaction? You would be diagnosed with mental illness and walk out with a prescription for psychotropic drugs. We often read about murderers, even mothers who slaughter their own babies, who claim that voices in their head told them to commit murder. We hear of cult leaders who believe that God demands their followers commit suicide. No wonder the widespread belief is that people who claim to hear the divine voice are insane. We are conditioned to believe that the only people sanctioned to have authentic conversations with God are great prophets, saints, holy men. I emphasize the word men, and other holy beings who lived at least 2,000 years ago in some faraway land. These holy men wrote one book, a book literally written in stone. After that book was written, apparently, God has gone mute and has not spoken to anyone since. Right? Wrong. I believe these holy men have not signed an exclusive contract with God. They have no special combination to a padlocked, hallowed safe with elite access. Some religious institutions would have you believe that they own the secret passkey, and without their permission, no one can walk through the doorway to heaven. Billions of people are resigned to the idea that they cannot experience divine presence directly, certainly not while they are still breathing. Sadly, such people eagerly await death, when they will enter the glorious gates of paradise and finally catch a glimpse of that presence. They never conceive that they could directly experience God in this body during this lifetime. The widespread belief is that the Almighty's blessing and grace are inaccessible without a middleman, such as a pastor, minister, priest, cleric, rabbi, guru, master, shaman, psychic, channeler, counselor, or priestess. Most of these go-betweens have the best of intentions, but regrettably, either intentionally or unwittingly, some of them become little more than hucksters masked in a veneer of spirituality, hawking their wares to the masses. Such intermediaries have no incentive to help people hear the divine voice directly. To use an analogy from the world of sales, if their customers were to contact Spirit directly, then these retailers would soon be out of business, for their clients would cut out the middleman and go direct. However, it is my experience, and the experience of tens of thousands of people who have used the methods taught in my books or classes, that anyone can hear the divine voice directly, and that it is within them. It is the voice of their own higher self. It is their divine intuition. The Pearl of Great Price. At the risk of giving away the pearl of great price, the most precious secret of the ages, I will tell you right now how you can hear the divine voice. This gift comes with no strings attached. You will not be required to convert to a religion, join a cult, venerate a guru, empty your bank account, or sacrifice your firstborn child. I will tell you right now how to go direct. So here goes. A simple way to listen to the still small voice of divine intuition, right here and now, absolutely free. Just sit down in a chair, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, get quiet, still, centered, and balanced within yourself. Continue to take several deep breaths until you attain a state of inner peacefulness. The deep breaths will take you into a deeper meditation. Then breathe normally. Relax into the center of your being. Next, do something that most people never do during meditation. Ask. Herein lies the entire secret. Ask. Ask a question. Ask for guidance. Ask for inspiration or healing. Then take another deep breath and do what I call the do nothing program. That means do nothing, nothing, and less than nothing. Then the still small voice will speak to you in your heart. You will learn this do nothing method, called divine revelation, in this book. So the key to hearing the divine voice is to ask. The trouble is that we forget to ask, or we think we cannot or should not ask. We think we are unworthy to ask, or we believe God is too busy for us and has much more important things to do. Is God too busy for you? Could the limitless, unbounded Creator be too busy for anyone? If you believe God is too busy to pay attention to you, then you have a very limited idea of what God is. God could never be too busy. The Almighty is not bound by time, space, or circumstances. He, she, it cannot get tired or overworked. God does not only pay attention to important people and things. Everyone and everything are important to the Creator. God does not play favorites. God is not available to only a select few so-called holy people. God is everywhere present and always available to anyone who asks. The entire premise of this book is ask, and it shall be given you. How to attain the requisite state of awareness, how to ask, and how to receive the message clearly are what you will learn by listening to it. Some people have one 10-minute spiritual experience and then spend the rest of their lives talking about it. Dozens of best-selling authors have built their entire careers upon that one time when a divine being appeared or spoke to them. However, divine revelation is about experiencing spirit whenever you want, at will. After you have learned how to hear the divine voice, you will receive spiritual experiences as often as you desire. You can call upon a deity, a divine being, or your higher self and ask a question, ask for guidance, or ask to experience God, and then receive the answer or experience immediately, whenever you want, day or night. Just ask. Diane Wright, a dentist from Tampa, Florida, describes, "Divine revelation has confirmed my knowing that I can reach my Christ self whenever I want. Just being aware and knowing has increased my consciousness." Problems solved by this book. Throughout nearly 50 years of teaching meditation and intuition techniques, I have often heard the following complaints from my students, to which this book provides practical solutions. 1. I have never meditated. Do I have to meditate in order to hear the divine voice? With this book and the accompanying downloadable meditation, you can learn how to meditate and also how to hear the voice of divine intuition, whether inside or outside of meditation. 2. Nothing happens when I try to hear the divine voice. Maybe it works for other people, but not for me. I'm just a brick wall. In this book, you will learn ways to break down the seeming brick wall that has stopped you from hearing the voice of divine intuition. 3. How do I know whether it's really Spirit speaking to me or some other voice? In Chapter 8, you will learn how to distinguish between the true voice of Spirit and other voices in your mind, such as your ego or wishful thinking. 4. Isn't it dangerous to listen to inner voices? What if they lead me down the wrong path? Can't I be deceived? This book will help you attain spiritual discernment so you can avoid the pitfalls of psychic delusion. 5. My negative thought patterns, habits, and conditioning prevent me from hearing the divine voice. In Chapter 7 of this book, you will find specific healing affirmations and prayers that help you overcome negative patterns. 6. Making the right life decisions is difficult and confusing for me. In this book, you will learn how to ask and receive guidance from the true voice of Spirit. That divine voice will help you make wise choices that are aligned with your true purpose. 7. I am offended by rules and regulations, cults, and coercive organizations. The universal techniques in this book impose no restrictions and are compatible with other religious philosophies, lifestyles, and personal beliefs. 8. I don't want to work at difficult, strict, hard-to-follow disciplines. This book is easy to understand, logical, and practical, with simple-to-learn methods requiring no previous experience, background, training, or knowledge. Some benefits you can expect. Here are a few of the many benefits you can receive by practicing the methods in this book. Included are experiences of people who have used these techniques to transform their lives. Benefits you can receive. Trust and follow inner guidance. Make wise and purposeful choices. Discover and follow true purpose. Enjoy inner happiness and peace. Find self-reliance and answers within. Achieve self-love and self-acceptance. Attain true freedom and empowerment. Dwell in divine comfort, love, and joy. Put life on track and in order. Discover life's meaning in enlightenment. 1. Trusting and following inner guidance. Linda Donardi, a property manager from San Leandro, California, says, I feel it is a good idea to use the voice of God as a guide. One day, I was driving in a hurry and not paying attention. I heard this sweet angel voice say, Linda, look up. And I did. I was heading right into a parked car on a rounded curve. I quickly swerved and could hear the mirror nick as I passed the car like a click. If I had not looked up, I would have hit the car dead center. I knew I was given grace that day. 2. Making wise and purposeful choices with peaceful confidence. Dan Eklund, a physician from Foley, Alabama, says, even though I find that dowsing or AK, muscle testing, can be useful confirmatory tests, I find that divine revelation works easiest and best for me. I have been asking questions and getting intuitive answers for 27 years, and now I can finally trust my answers. Hallelujah. 3. Discovering and following your true pathway, true desires, and divine purpose, in alignment with your authentic self. Anita Foster, a massage therapist from Centerville, Ohio, says, the major outcome for me was a clear call to me from divine guidance that it is time to acknowledge that the reason I am here on earth this time around is to live my oneness with God. 4. Enjoying a sense of inner happiness and peace in everyday life. Marcia Campbell, a Unity Church administrator from Atlanta, Georgia, says, divine revelation filled me with such a feeling of peace. When I first came across it, I felt tears in my eyes. Then, as I got more into it, what came over me was immense gratitude, more tears, from so much joy of feeling that connection. It was an answer to my prayer. 5. Being more self-reliant and less dependent on others by finding answers within. Victor Cox from Dallas, Texas, says, I would like to say that since reading Dr. Shumsky's books and using her teachings, I have received many answers to questions from Divine Spirit regarding my life and my job. These answers have come in the form of visions, inner voices, and signs, just as she says in her books. 6. Achieving greater self-love, self-acceptance, and inner power. Libby Maxey, an author from Mount Juliet, Tennessee, says, God, self, universe, every particle of everything spoke thundering through me, to me, as me, in me, around me, resonating, vibrating, I am thou, and I am not separate, cannot ever be separate from God, self, or you, or me, or the earth, or the stars, or anything again. It is so utterly simple and so extremely subtle. I can say this and mean it with my whole being. I love God, I love my neighbors, and I love myself. I am thou. 7. Attaining the true freedom that comes from direct contact with Spirit. Rosemarie Sanchez from Portland, Oregon writes, this realm of understanding is new for me, and is exactly what I have wanted. After many years of the mainstream way of thinking, this is amazingly freeing. My word of inspiration right now is freedom, and even the thought of it provides the feeling of a butterfly in flight. God's love truly puts me on top of the world, knowing I can create any possibility for my life I choose. 8. Dwelling in the joyous, comforting, loving presence of God. Michelle Engel, a school teacher from Ashland, Oregon, reports, truly, the biggest and best miracle I've experienced is the realization of divinity within. I feel wealthy in spirit and am completely fulfilled from within. 9. Putting your life on track and in order. Timothy Smith, a minister from Boynton Beach, Florida, says, your teaching has made such a huge difference in my life on so many levels. It was like a light bulb experience. All of my studies of religion in my BA degree, master's, and on personal levels now made sense with the inner Christ, inner spirit, and inner being. Suddenly, the Christ that I invited into my heart so many years ago was revealed to me. The inner Christ was there all along. I could finally see, know it as a part of me. It seemed so simple yet so complex. 10. Discovering life's meaning in spiritual enlightenment. Albert Marsh, a retired architect from Los Angeles, California, says, "I experienced being 100% egoless. I was led into a blissful emptiness, a total silence, a total state of non-action and oneness, and a total intense experience of the present moment. There was no emotion, no desire, no need to do anything, only a great peace. I felt like Albert had gone away, and I was empty of everything, impersonal. I felt as if my ego had been sent down a garbage disposal. Usually when I have a deep experience such as this, I have tears of humility, love, and joy. But there just wasn't any me left to do anything. There was only pure, peaceful beingness." 11. Knowing God and attaining God realization. Mark Leibowitz, a physician from Dallas, Texas, says, "I recently recalled that when I was 15 years old, my fondest wish was to know God. I just realized that I don't wish for that anymore, because now I think I do know Him. I am sure that I will grow to know her more as I progress, but I have achieved my lifelong wish. Thank you, Susan." How I learned to meditate. It was the 60s, and I was a hippie living in the San Francisco Bay Area. You might not realize that we flower children were not necessarily about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. In fact, we were eager to study Eastern wisdom and experience higher consciousness. I was reading every spiritual book I could lay my hands on, including Buddhist scriptures, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, Paramahansa Yogananda's classic Autobiography of a Yogi, The Life of Milarepa by Tsengyong Heruka, and The Way of Zen and other books by Alan Watts. I learned that nirvana, or its Zen Buddhist equivalent satori, meant the end of suffering, spiritual enlightenment, freedom from the wheel of birth and death, the cycles of reincarnation. Something within me knew this was the only goal worth pursuing. Since I read that nirvana could be found by practicing meditation, my heart yearned to learn how. In Alan Watts's books, he said it is essential to study with a meditation guide, but in 1966 in Berkeley, California, you did not find meditation or anything remotely similar in the yellow pages of the telephone directory. It was a different world back then, so I asked one of my housemates how to find a meditation guide. He asked, "Have you ever tried to meditate by yourself?" I replied, "Well, I'll give it a shot." So I lay down on my bed, because I was clueless. I did not even know you were supposed to meditate sitting up. Then I asked or prayed for a meditation experience. Suddenly I was propelled into an ecstatic state. A huge rush of energy bolted from the tips of my toes to the top of my head. I was connected to a powerful energy cord that pumped through the midline of my body. My body felt as if it were plugged into an electric socket, but in a most blissful way. Because I had never experienced anything like this, I figured this must be meditation. Little did I know that this was not only my first meditation experience, but also my Kundalini awakening, both at the same time. Soon after that, a friend took me to the Transcendental Meditation Center, where I learned how to meditate using a mantra, a Sanskrit sound used in meditation. A few years later, I became a meditation teacher. I have continued to practice meditation and other spiritual disciplines since 1967. From 1970 to 1989, I lived in various ashrams, residential retreat facilities where a student studies meditation and yoga, under the guidance of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, founder of Transcendental Meditation and guru of the Beatles and of Deepak Chopra. I served on Maharishi's personal international staff for 7 of those years. There were only about 25 to...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?